All right, today we're jumping into the mind of someone who basically set philosophy on fire, literally and figuratively. We're talking about the ancient Greek thinker, Heraclitus of Ephesus. Now, you've almost definitely heard this one before. It sounds simple, right? But it's actually this deep, twisty paradox that holds the key to a totally radical way of seeing reality. So, what's he really getting at here? Okay, let's really get into it. Think of this as a quest to solve that river riddle. And in doing so, we're going to tackle one of the biggest questions there is. If everything is always changing, is there anything we can actually, hold on to? So, first things first, who was this guy? Well, Heraclitus was this enigmatic, kind of solitary dude from the ancient city of Ephesus. And let's just say he wasn't exactly a people person. In fact, he pretty much wasn't a fan of, well, anyone. Yeah, we're talking about 2,500 years ago. He was born into a pretty big deal aristocratic family. He was actually in line to be the king of his city, but he gave up the title to his brother. Why? Because he'd rather spend his time thinking than dealing with politics. And he was famously difficult. I mean, his writing was so puzzling and full of riddles that people called him the obscure. He claimed he was completely self-taught and had no problem calling out the biggest names of his day. We're talking Homer, Pythagoras, you name it. He honestly thought that most of humanity was just sleepwalking through their entire lives. Okay, so let's circle back to that river, that little riddle. It's the front door to his entire philosophy. And that philosophy is all about one central idea: constant, unending change, the idea of flux. See, for Heraclitus, that river isn't just a river. It's a perfect metaphor for everything. You can't step into the same river twice because it's not the same river, and you're not the same person. The water's different, your cells are different, your thoughts are different. In his world, change isn't just something that happens, change is the only thing that's real. Any feeling of stability? That's just an illusion. And if you want to boil it all down to two words, here they are: panta rhei. It's Greek for everything flows. And that's it. That's the fundamental law of the universe for him. Nothing ever just sits there and is. Everything is always, constantly, in the process of becoming something new. Okay, but if everything is always flowing and changing, what's driving it? What's the engine behind all this flux? For Heraclitus, the answer was an element that is the perfect symbol for transformation: fire. I mean, listen to his own words. He's saying the entire universe, the whole cosmic order, wasn't made by anyone. It just is, and always will be, this ever-living fire. But don't think of it as just destructive burning. For him, this fire is the very engine of creation itself. It's a constant, self-regulating process that creates and changes things in these measured, almost rhythmic ways. So here's how it works in his mind. This cosmic fire is the source of everything. It kind of cools and condenses into water. Then the water gets thicker and becomes earth. But it doesn't stop there. The process goes in reverse. Earth liquefies back into water, and water, well, it evaporates, turns to vapor, and becomes fire again. It's this beautiful, perfectly balanced, continuous cycle. That's the rhythm of reality. Right, so if everything is this constant churn of fire and water and earth, you might be thinking, why isn't everything just total chaos? And that brings us to one of his most brilliant and kind of mind-bending ideas: the harmony of opposites. Just think about it for a second. How would you even know what hot is without cold, or up without down? Day only makes sense because of night. Heraclitus looked at these pairs and didn't see a fight. He saw two sides of the same coin. They're not enemies, they're partners in a dance, totally interconnected parts of one bigger thing. Here's a classic Heraclitus-style riddle to bake your noodle. The way up and the way down are one and the same, right? A single path on a hill is both the way up and the way down. It just depends on which direction you're facing. The reality of the path itself holds both opposites within it. See? They don't cancel each other out. They actually define each other. Okay, so then he says this, which sounds intense. War is the father of all. But hang on, he's not talking about actual armies fighting. For Heraclitus, war or strife is that creative tension between opposites. It's the push and pull. It's the very force that creates things and keeps the whole universe in this dynamic, humming balance. This constant tension isn't chaos. He actually says it's justice. Okay, let's recap. We've got constant change, flux. It's driven by this cosmic fire, and it's all held in a beautiful, tense balance by the harmony of opposites. So what's the master rulebook? What's the underlying principle governing this whole cosmic dance? Heraclitus had a word for it, the logos. Now, logos is a really deep, really big idea. It means word, reason, account, all of those things. It's the universal law, the underlying logic, the divine blueprint that structures the entire cosmos. It's the reason the universe isn't just a random mess, but a coherent system that, if you pay attention, you can actually understand. And here's the kicker. This logos, this universal reason, is common to all of us. It's right there for us to see. But Heraclitus said most people just don't get it. He thought we live our lives as if we're asleep, totally caught up in our own little private dreams, instead of waking up to the shared universal truth. His whole point with philosophy wasn't just to have clever thoughts. It was to wake up, to snap out of it and align ourselves with the deep, rational rhythm of the cosmos. So, even though we only have tiny pieces of his original book, the ideas of Heraclitus have just echoed down through the centuries. I mean, he is without a doubt one of the most influential philosophers ever. Just think about this legacy. The great Plato, his whole idea of a perfect, unchanging world of forms was a direct argument against Heraclitus's world of constant change. The Stoics, they basically took his idea of the logos and made it the cornerstone of their entire philosophy. And you fast forward thousands of years to guys like Hegel and Nietzsche, and they're pointing back to Heraclitus as the one who really got it, the one who understood that reality is this dynamic, creative struggle. And what's just incredible is how much his ideas still resonate today. This vision of the universe not as a static object, but as this dynamic, ever-unfolding process that follows certain laws. I mean, that sounds incredibly modern. You can find echoes of that thinking in thermodynamics, in process philosophy, even in biology. So let's end on a personal note. Heraclitus had another famous saying, character is destiny. If he's right, if you and I are also in constant flux, just like that river, always in a state of becoming, then that leaves us with a really powerful question, doesn't it? Who are you choosing to become?